Arsenal versus PSG Champions League Final is almost here. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to us the reasons why that game is not as one-sided as people think. I'm hearing everything in the news, the narrative that they're going to wash Arsenal away. In this video, we're going to explain the reasons why. So stick around. Number one, Donnarumma. Donnarumma was the singular major reason why over 2 legs in the semi-finals against PSG versus Arsenal last year's Champions League, they were just the better side. Donnarumma was unreal. He's world class, and he was the best goalkeeper in the world. But this year, Arsenal have David Raya, and he's the best goalkeeper in the world. For some weird reason, PSG could not hold on to their best goalkeeper, and whoever they have right now is just not as good. Case in point, they conceded 4 goals in the first leg of the semi-final against Bayern Munich. So they're just not that good defensively because of their goalkeeper. That is the first one. The second one is the defense. Arsenal have a much better defense this year than last year. We're playing the likes of Mikel Arteta at left back last year. He was okay, very good going forward, but not so good in defense. This year, Arsenal have gotten Hincapié and Calafiori, both fit and firing. They have got Gabriel Magalhaes, who was injured last year for the most part of the second half of the season. And then, of course, potentially they're going to be getting Jurriën Timber back for the final. So the whole of Arsenal's backline is significantly better than what it was last year. For PSG, it's pretty much the same. I'm hearing that they might have their full strength defense as well. Hakimi might be back for the Champions League final, so good for them. But Arsenal's defense is significantly better than it was last time out. Third reason, the midfield. Arsenal have had a captain, Odegaard, who was not firing, still not as good as he used to be 3-4 years ago. And that was what we had in midfield. We had the likes of Thomas Partey, who, by the way, missed the second leg. Missed one of the legs. I think the first leg against PSG because of a suspension. Or was it that? I don't think Thomas Partey played the 2 legs against PSG. Anyway. But the midfield was Rice, Thomas Partey, and Odegaard, who was not really at his best. This year, Arsenal have the likes of, Marcelo Skelly. We have the likes of Eze. So we can switch things up and we can play a double pivot 10 if we want. And the midfield is just overall more robust. And also, the likes of our injured, one of our midfielders who has been injured, Mikel Merino, who is also very good going forward, gets the goals when we need it. I hear he's going to be back for that final. So it's more like a full strength midfield as well. Fourth reason, our attack. Arsenal's attack is way better than it was last year. We did not have a striker. We were playing Mikel Merino as a centre forward in those Champions League ties. But right now, Arsenal can, field a fit Saka. They will field Gyökeres. We had no striker in the past. And we also have players on the bench who can come in and make a difference. The likes of Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus. Last year, Jesus was out for the season. Kai Havertz was also injured. He was not available. We only had Mikel Merino and very little of the bench. So overall, the team is way better, more available. And in fact, the fifth reason is actually the strength of Arsenal's bench. In the past, last season, Arsenal did not have a bench. We barely could field an 11 that were good enough to win the game. Not even good enough to win most of the games. We had to depend on the magic of Declan Rice against Real Madrid. But now, you can see clearly that Arsenal has a bench with at least 4 or 5 players that can come in and change the game. The likes of Martinelli, he will likely not start that game, by the way. So Martinelli can come in and change the game. Gabriel Jesus can come and change the game. Kai Havertz, Mikel Merino and the rest of them, they are able to, and Arsenal have actually depended on their bench several times this season. And being able to have that bench available for the final is top-notch. Now, if you look at the group stages, and Arsenal have been exceptional throughout the competition. PSG were not really that good in the competition from the beginning. They found form. I've heard people also say things like Arsenal did not have very strong opposition going into the final. But then, if you look at it very critically, who did PSG defeat? They played the Chelsea side that are not that good this season. Arsenal have beaten Chelsea 3 times this season. They knocked out the Liverpool side that are also not great. They were champions in the Premier League last year. But this season, they've been in shadow of themselves. They're not winning any trophy and they're barely qualifying for the Champions League. And then, of course, the Bayern Munich, they knocked out in the semi-finals. Is a team Arsenal actually defeated 3-1 at the Emirates in the group stages of the competition. So you can argue that Arsenal have had easier picks for the knockout stages of the Champions League. Yes, I agree with that. But if you look at the teams very critically, you see that the gap between the two teams in terms of abilities is not really that much. And yes, you can say PSG are favourites, but not as much as people think. In fact, in my opinion, I would say it's a 50-50. Not really that PSG are favourites. I think it's actually a 50-50. And anybody can win it. If you ask me, I'll back my team to win the competition. There's a lot of narratives going on about who is favourite and who is not, depending on who you listen to. I remember the first leg of the Champions League semi-finals, Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid. It was KG, it was 1-1, and everybody said it was boring just because, the Bayern Munich versus PSG game had a lot of goals. For me, it was a defensive blunder from both sides. Because if you think about it, the second leg was now a 1-1 draw in Munich. But nobody said it was boring. Just because it was PSG versus, it's not Arsenal basically. So for me, I would say the game is really, really well balanced, and with a stroke of luck, Arsenal can win that Champions League final, and I'll back them to do it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think PSG are favorites to win the Champions League? Do Arsenal have a chance? Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm out.